Hey you guys, so today I felt like filming just kind of a chatty video with you. So I'm going to be going through some newer products. I haven't been home in a while. And just tell you guys my thoughts on them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So a couple of you guys have been asking me to talk about the new lipsticks from MAC, the Liptensity ones. A lot of people got sent the whole range in the mail. I was lucky enough to be one of those people as well. These are so gorgeous. So they have a big range of colors and they all kind of come in packaging like this where it's colored on the outside. I love the packaging. I think the formula is great. I've always really liked MAC lipstick formulas, but I think these are just as beautiful. I do like the range of colors and I like that they're permanent as well. I think it's been a while since MAC has come out with something that's really like wowed people, and this to me is that launch. These are two of my favorites, Smoked Almond and Double Fudge. Is that right? Yeah, man. I just think the formula is nice, it wears nicely, it's lightweight, it's not super matte, it's not super shiny, it's just like a good kind of in-between formula. I'm about it. Just sticking with some lip products, the new NARS Velvet Lip Glides. So good. If you follow me anywhere else or if you watch my last video, you'll know that I am so in love with these. I picked up these three colors from Sephora. So this is Mineshaft, Stripped, and Unlaced. Stripped was actually given to me by Jamie Page. She had received like a PR mailer of a bunch of them, and she already had a couple colors, so she gave me this one to try, and it's just so nice. It's a really nice formula that applies almost a little bit glossy. I have it on right now, but when you wear it, it kind of dries down almost to a more velvety matte kind of texture, and it just wears really nicely throughout the day. It definitely isn't like a liquid lipstick. It's not going to stay on forever. It's not like you could go eat 3 meals with it and still be wearing it at the end of 8 hours. You guys know I don't love wearing matte lipsticks out of the house. I just find them super drying and they don't like how they feel on my lips. I just feel like these are a nice in-between, almost like the texture of soft matte lip creams from NYX, but just a little bit different. But they just wear really nicely and they're really beautiful, and I'm just digging them a lot, so yeah. Okay, a ton of you guys have been asking me for my opinions on the new Guerlain Foundation. I'm not even gonna try to butcher the pronunciation, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like to give a foundation a couple different tries before I give it a solid A+ or not. I feel the same way about this foundation that I feel about a lot of foundations, and that is that I don't love it by itself, but I like mixing it, but that kind of defeats the purpose. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like big on foundation mixing. I feel like I can never find the right color in the formula that I want, and there always seems to be like one thing about the formula that I don't love, whether that it's like too matte or it feels too cakey or it kind of goes into my fine lines throughout the day, like whatever it may be. I just find that I have to mix foundations to get kind of this perfect consistency and texture. I've yet to really find like a foundation that just is like solid all the way through, and especially because like I've been getting older, my skin changes, I have different problems, so yeah, I don't know. I like it. I do like it. I feel like it has a nice texture, it has a nice consistency, it wears pretty well. It did seem to go into my fine lines a little bit throughout the day, and I feel like it can get caught in my pores a little bit depending on how I apply it. It's like a B. It's like a B. And when it's mixed, it's like a A-. Okay, so a ton of you guys have been asking me to talk about the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette. Basically, this is just a palette with 12 completely matte shades. Probably the first thing I want to say is that this is definitely worth seeing in person. My issue with neutral palettes is when I look at them online, they all look like they have like 12 shades of the exact same neutral colored brow bone highlight, and they actually do look quite different in person. When this came out, I was like, hooray, Urban Decay. You listen to your consumer base. I mean, they've come out with their naked palettes and they were so iconic and everybody loved them so much, but the biggest complaint was that there was too many shimmery shadows in it. It was almost unusable in some cases because you just didn't have those fundamental matte shades that you really needed to kind of complete looks. And we are moving into that kind of trend where people do like more matte shadows, and so a ton of people have been asking for this for a long time. So I definitely always like to give pats on the back to companies that do listen to their consumer base. I think it's a beautiful palette. I like Urban Decay's shadow textures. I think that they did a good job with this one as well. I do wish that they had taken out one of these two warm kind of brown transition-y colors and added a darker brown, and I wish that the black was a little bit blacker than it is. Great option if you want to pick up a nice cruelty-free neutrals palette. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the Estee Edit face an eye palette. You have to buy these together as far as I know, which I didn't want to, I was forced. But yeah, I did use the face palette in my last video, and I really do like this. I have the same issue with this that I have with a lot of face palettes that are coming out with, and that's that all these colors are very shimmery, and I just can't really see myself using like this chunk here. I do know, of course, for deeper skin tones, those are gonna be beautiful. Even this tone right up here is gonna be gorgeous on deep skin tones. This one does tend to be a little bit ashy, even on myself, but it's still really beautiful, and I like it. I can see myself using these every once in a while, just maybe over top of my bronzer if I want to be really glowy and kind of like bronzy summer steez, pretending it's not fall when it really is fall moving into winter. But I love the formula of this, and I think that this is one of the first products from Estee Edit where I've really been like, yes, this is a hit for me. I do think the eyeshadow palette is gorgeous as well. There are no mattes whatsoever in this, so of course you would have to probably pair this with another eyeshadow palette just for your transition shades, your highlights, and all that kind of stuff. But the actual tones that they chose are really gorgeous. I feel a little bit cheated by the black color because I feel like they have this like gorgeous purpley blue kind of like reflective color and this like really beautiful deep emerald and bronze and pink and this brown, and like it's just like such nice like rich shades, and then black, a black eyeshadow. And that's massive, dude. I'm not gonna use that. That's massive. That's a fucking huge black eyeshadow. I get that the whole deal is like this kind of like smoky, sexy, you can pair the black with any of the colors, and like I do like that idea in theory, but I just feel like this would have been like a real hit for me if it was like a different color right there. But overall, I do think that the consistency is really beautiful. So for me, I feel like Estee Edit finally won me over with these palettes. I was really iffy about them at first. I understood what they were trying to do, but I was like, stop trying to be cool, Estee Lauder. But I'm feeling pretty good about these palettes, so who knows what's on the horizon. I hope they come up with some more cool shit in the future. Okay, I have the new Tarte palettes, of course. Everybody wants to know about them. Obviously, take my opinion with a grain of salt because they just took me on the most lavish vacation in Bora Bora. My opinion can easily be bought. I love the cream contour! I don't like the cream contour. Tarte, you knew this was coming. Everybody knew this was coming. The palette itself is beautiful. I like you have the option to keep the cream contour covered, but I don't like cream colors in my powder. I feel like it just gets so messy. The powder inevitably gets stuck in the cream and it just becomes this big, messy mess. It's just a mess. And it's not hygienic if you are doing makeup on clients, which I don't have to worry about anymore. Anyways, the overall formula of the highlights are beautiful. The only one that falls a little bit short for me is this one right here called Strobe. I feel like all the other three highlights are very, they're very like pearly and velvety, and they just kind of like melt onto the skin. And that one for me is a little bit of a drier texture, and the Reflect is almost a little bit more chunky and glittery. The other three colors I really like, and I feel like they're gonna work on a multitude of different skin tones. Cream contour, I don't even want to talk about it. Powder contour is nice, it's beautiful. I almost like that this formula is a little bit less pigmented than the contour kit that was in a circle from Tarte. I felt like those powders were so pigmented that I almost was scared to dip my brush in. I almost always ended up over applying to the point where I just stopped using that kit. So I do think that this is a texture more similar to Park Avenue Princess, which is one of my favorite bronzers. So moving on to the Tarteist Pro palette, this is their eyeshadow palette. Ugh, let me just get this open. I think this is a beautiful palette. You guys know that one of my favorite palettes over the last year was the Tartelette 2. I really like that product, and I really like this one as well. I feel like they have a nice range of colors, and I also felt like I just wanted to like give Tarte a big hug. I feel like this is one of those palettes where they're kind of starting to reach more into color, which is great. I know that one of people's biggest complaints about Tarte, and one of my biggest letdowns, is that a lot of their palettes are these limited edition palettes that have very similar tones and colors. But I feel like with this product, they have started to bring in some different tones. They have this kind of like smoky navy color, the reds, the plums, and the oranges, and I just feel like it's a really versatile palette. It has a good range of tones. I like that they stuck with this whole light to dark, and then they also added in the metallic pops of colors. Overall, I like the Tarte eyeshadow formula. My only downfall with this palette is that I find the metallic shades tend to fade on me throughout the day. They apply really buttery and creamy, and they're so vibrant and beautiful, and they seem to just kind of get a little more lackluster throughout the day. So that's my only beef. Okay, a ton of you guys were asking me to talk about the Anastasia Mario palette. It's beautiful. I think it's a gorgeous palette. I mentioned in my other tutorial that I know a lot of people were complaining about there being too many shimmery shadows. The thing that I really like about a lot of the Anastasia shadow textures is that they have these kind of pearlescent shades that are really beautiful and you can apply them with impact, but when you blend them away, they do blend into almost more of a matte. Not entirely, they still have a little bit of a sheen, but it almost just looks like a healthy glow, if that makes sense. It's not like this super metallic impact on the eye that's like unusable. And again, like I said in my other video, I do feel like the colors that should be matte are, which is all the transition shades right there, and then you have these nice kind of shimmery pops of color that you can pop wherever. I think this is overall just a really balanced palette, and it's reflective of Mario's work. The only thing that I don't love about this palette is that I wish they had a slightly lighter shade for lighter skin tones as a brow bone highlight or as an inner corner highlight, whatever it may be, and then maybe like a slightly darker shadow just to define a little bit more, but that's just because that's how I like to wear my shadows. I wanted to quickly talk about the new Makeup Geek highlighters. They're beautiful. Makeup Geek's got it going on, man. I think the packaging is absolutely beautiful. I love this kind of warm gunmetal gray color. I have broken a couple of these by accident already. I do think that this formula is maybe a little bit lighter pressed than others, just meaning that it ends up being a little bit more buttery and soft, but unfortunately a little bit easier to break, much like Thunderstruck from Kat Von D. Rest in peace. And the formula seems to be pretty consistent throughout. They did come out with quite a number of shades and they all seem to be very, very close in formula. There's none that are like really chunky and glittery and then some that are more like soft and pearly. They all seem to be this really pretty just sheen of highlight. So I have my two favorite colors here, Lit and Midnight Sun. Midnight Sun looks a lot darker than it is, and Lit is almost like Thunderstruck. So yeah, I think they did a really, really great job with this. I'm excited to see what they come out with next because they've just consistently been coming out with really good products at a good price. So, all right, you guys, that's everything for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something cool today. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments below and I will get back to you. Also, let me know what products you guys have been trying out that you've been loving, products you've been trying out that you haven't been loving. Yeah, we'll chat about that in the comments. All right, guys, peace out.